sides of the story so we can determine what action or consider action after we've heard from both sides on this issue.
Kiger, members of the board, as you stated, the item that I bring for consideration before you today is the memorandum of agreement with us and ICE, commonly known as the 287G agreement. Our current contract expired on October the 15th of this year. So basically what has happened is Department of Homeland Security, the ICE division, has requested an extension of this contract, and they're requesting it basically a two-month extension through the end of December of this year, during which time they will revise, redraft, edit, or possibly even cancel. We don't even know. They could do any number of things, but they're certainly going to be reviewing this program during that two-month time period. So my recommendation to you is that we sign this two-month extension and see what the DHS proposal is, see what the ICE revisions or anything that might be, give them that chance. We have the full spectrum of opinions. You have those that love the program, you have those that hate the program. And I'll say this, speaking for myself and certainly for my office, for the Sheriff's Office, and I think in a broader sense I can do so for the profession of law enforcement as a whole. We're proud to risk our lives every day in the interest of public safety. That's what we're here for. When you put on a bulletproof vest, when you go to work every day, there's a reason for that. We're proud to do it, we're honored to do it, and we're proud to do it with professionalism, honor, and respect to the citizens we serve in the interest of public safety. We will continue to do that in our community, Rockingham County and the city of Harrisonburg, regardless of what the board may ultimately decide or consider tonight.
Good evening, honorable members of the Rockingham County Board of Supervisors. Thank you for the opportunity. And at this point, I would like to ask all of our supporters who are here tonight to please rise for a few seconds. Thank you so much. You've been together for 20 years. I graduated from Turner Ashby High School and Eastern Mennonite University and consider myself a Valley girl. Yet every day, my mom and I live in fear of programs such as 287G. I and many others have heard innumerable stories of deportation in our community. We wanted to figure out what was really going on, so we embarked upon a listening project with 30 trained community volunteers to interview Latinos in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. This project took almost a year to complete. Of 122 people interviewed, we found that 70% of these Latinos expressed fear of the police, and 66% knew someone who had been deported because of 287G. This statistic is worthy of highlighting because people know of all these deportations, and so they are afraid to report crimes, and whether it be their neighbor's house or car being broken into, or they themselves being victims. We heard heartbreaking stories of people being deported for minor things such as an expired decal sticker. These deportations contribute to poverty, break apart hardworking families, cause trauma among our children, and infuse fear in our immigrant communities so they are afraid to even report serious crimes. One person who's also a friend of mine told us that his family had a gas leak in the home. And even though the mom was starting to feel sick from the gas, she was terrified of calling 911 because of their undocumented status. Finally, the son called emergency services to deal with the issue. After we heard these stories through the survey, we wanted to see more concrete numbers about deportations from the jail. So we submitted a Freedom of Information Act request, and what we found astounded us. Of almost 300 individuals deported, only 12% were level 1 and 2 criminals. That is, those convicted of serious crimes. That means 88% were separated from their families for minor offenses. That's 261 families in our community who have suffered this tragedy. When former Sheriff Farley signed this 287G agreement in 2007, he said, quote, "The person that is here being a productive member of society need not worry about 287G." End of quote. The purpose of this program is to remove high-level criminals, but our study and our FOIA request shows this is not the case. I consider myself and my family productive members of society, but every day I worry about 287G breaking my family apart. In fact, my uncle was deported under 287G because someone else backed into his car in a parking lot. And even though he was not at fault, he was separated from my family for not having a driver's license. Something as simple as that. My sister drives her children to her school activities and to her job, and she's been here for 20 years as well. Her children are U.S. citizens, but she cannot get a driver's license. They live in fear of separation by deportation. Officers and deputies sometimes use their discretion to take in different people. For example, an undocumented friend was stopped for running a yellow light, and the officer said if he didn't speak English, he would have taken him to jail. Other officers bend over backwards to not take people to ICE. This results in an arbitrary application of the program that is confusing to people in our community and unfair to our deputies and officers. The arbitrary nature of 287G and its application highlight why this program should not be extended. Extending 287G is unnecessary because the secure communities and criminal alien programs already offer sufficient tools for law enforcement to catch the vast majority of serious criminals. Only 62 jurisdictions in the U.S. out of over 3,000 continue to run the 287G program. A General Accounting Office study also faulted the program for not focusing on criminal aliens and lacking oversight. And just last night, I got an email along with Virginia Organizing from a young lady in our community, and I wanted to highlight her story, and this is what she said. My name is Lucero Cardoso, and I have been one of the many individuals that has been affected by this program. My husband was arrested in September of 2010 and incarcerated due to the fact that he was driving without a license. He missed the birth of his child during this time frame. He was in process of being deported and was transferred from one jail to another like a criminal. I suffered tremendously, and so our baby girl. She needed her father, I needed my husband. I fought and fought until I finally bailed him out. I did this on my own with the faith that I had in all my strength, also a lot of money. He has been to immigration courts and through a process of legalization. I think this type of program is horrendous and family destructive. We need to get rid of the criminals in our community, not parents or husbands that all they do is work, pay taxes, and provide for this country. No 287G program. And that's the end of her email. So while we support our law enforcement and applaud them for the important security they provide for our community, our listening project and our FOIA request study clearly shows there are huge negative impacts from 287G. This program is bad for police and community relationships, bad for the trauma and fear it causes, bad for victims of crime, and bad for contributing to jail overcrowding, and bad for opening the door to racial profiling. We urge you not to extend 287G. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you very much. Members of the board, you've heard reports from these two presenters. Is there a motion forthcoming on this matter? Hearing no motion coming forward, this matter, as clear about the chairman, is concluded and the agreement is thus terminated. Next agenda item. I tell you what, why don't we take